But it's the Last of Us TV show in the works at HBO. So this is Matt Kim of IGN has the details here. The Last of Us director Neil Druckman will team up with Chernobyl creator Craig Mazin on a television adaptation of The Last of Us for HBO. According to THR, this is the Hollywood Reporter, Druckman will be involved in the creation of the HBO Last of Us series. This is a rarity for video game adaptations, as the game creators aren't usually directly involved with the adaptation process of their games. Druckman and Mazin will write and adapt. Naughty Dog president Evan Wells will serve as executive producer alongside Carolyn Strauss. Sony Pictures Television and PlayStation Productions will co-produce the series for the cable network. Sources told IGN that HBO will replace the previously announced The Last of Us movie adaptation. How do you feel about this? Do you prefer a TV show versus a movie? What do you think? Does this need to exist at all?
Yeah, I think I definitely prefer a TV show against a movie, especially when it's to do with a game, because I just think that a lot of the time when it's a movie, they often feel rushed just because you're trying to fit like a 20-hour story or a 20-hour game into a hour and a half, 2-hour film. So I think a series is good. It's good that Neil Druckman is involved and Evan Wells as well. But yeah, I just don't really see the point in it. I get that a lot of HBO viewers probably haven't played the game. So it's a cool way for them to see the story, because initially I assumed it was going to be not to do with Joel and Ellie, but it's sounding like it is. So yeah, I mean, I personally don't think games need to be films or TV series. It's just not necessary for them. I think that they tell stories better than series can. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure it will create a big buzz around The Last of Us, which is always good. I'll definitely watch it, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it. But I'm just not sure sort of the reason for it, really.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying there. Where traditionally, I don't think any of these games, especially lately, they're so narratively driven. They're so the cutscenes, the acting is so amazing that they're already movies. They're longer movies. They do everything that more than a movie could actually, produce, and the time frame that they're stuck with, like you mentioned too. But I guess I am more interested in a show, and especially if it doesn't seem like it, but I like the idea of them tackling characters just in that universe. You could tell other stories in that universe. You could reference characters possibly. You can talk about the Fireflies. It's like there's so much there to pick at that doesn't have to mess with these core stories that we've already heard. But you're right. I think it seems like, at least with Neil Druckman, he tweeted a thing it was International Women's Day on Sunday. He made a tweet adding the list of female characters from The Last of Us along with those HBO characters that have been already on the series, on the show there. So I don't know. It seems like those characters are going to be replicated on the show. For me, it's kind of a bummer because I like the idea of them just telling other stories. Yeah,
and it would just be kind of weird, I think, for people who have played the game to watch it and see because I mean, I don't know, it's kind of weird because Last of Us is so story driven. So even if it was a game that didn't have much of a story, or it was an older game or something like that, for example, Final Fantasy VII, that's being remade. It's still a game, but obviously that because of how old it is, they're able to flesh it out much more in a narrative way.
Right.
Whereas Last of Us, you can't really do anything with a TV series that hasn't already been done with the game. So it's just a bit. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure about it, to be honest. Unless
they decide to tell the stories that weren't told within that timeline with those characters. There was, and initially that's what got me excited too, with the possibility of Joel being in there telling that story. There's 20 years where the outbreak happens. He has a thing with his daughter. Outbreak happens, and then you have all this time that they reference that you never see. So maybe they could dig into that. I'm hopeful they do. Also, we're talking a lot of shit. Neil Druckman is obviously a fucking genius.
Exactly.
So I'm sure he's not going to fuck it up. No. It's all of us like, I don't know if they should do it or whatever. He's like, dude, I know. I made it. I don't want to fuck this up either. But also, so the thing that really gets me going is the Chernobyl director is on board for this. And did you ever watch Chernobyl on HBO?
I haven't, no.
Man, it's good.
Yeah, I've heard it's very, very good.
It's very, very good. It latches onto you right away. It's such a great story. The way they weave the political stuff going on with the Chernobyl nuclear explosion, the way the corruption behind the scenes, the the actual like government not wanting to actually tell what's happening, the people involved in sacrificing themselves to like right the wrongs, and it was just such a great story. So, and it's really heavy stuff, really graphic stuff. So I feel like he's the best person to work on something like The Last of Us.
To deal with that. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be good. And like you said, it's got a good cast, sort of team behind it, and sort of but a lot of people are trying to compare it to The Witcher, which I didn't personally like that much. I didn't watch it all, but from what I saw, I wasn't a huge fan. But I don't think it is the same, because the series is not really based on the games, it's based on the books, which is completely different. You've got the games, which are open world RPGs, which although the Witcher games do have great stories, that is told in a certain way, whereas Last of Us is a linear narrative like journey, the same way a series is. And obviously if Last of Us was a book, then that would mean that the game is a adaptation of that source material, which means the series could adapt it in its own way as well, which is what happened with The Witcher. Because obviously The Witcher, being a book, they were able to take these characters and change them how they wanted to, whereas because the source material of The Last of Us is already visual, and it's already told within a video game, and that is the source material, if they do decide to change characters or plot points, it will be a bit more jarring, I think, than if it was a book. But hopefully I'm completely wrong, and it's great, but I just don't really see the need for it.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know what? Grab one of the gardeners, ask them, and see what they think about this. Just be like, hey, are you interested in this at all?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Actually, I mean, there are probably a bit of ignorance from me and other people who are really into games. I'm sure there are lots of people who would love the story but don't play games or aren't interested in those kind of games. So I suppose it is another way to tell this story to a different audience. So I mean, I'm sure, like, I know for a fact, like my parents and my family who don't play games would love The Last of Us, but they wouldn't want to consume it in the way that it is at the moment. So perhaps a TV series is a good way of just getting that story out there.
Yeah, no, that reminds me, because you're right, like, and being such a fan of it, I want everyone to experience it just like I did, but there's that hurdle of the gameplay. Not everyone loves playing games, especially, like, I have family members that as soon as one of my uncles, he's an older guy, he got a PS3. As soon as he got it, I bought my own copy of Last of Us, like, here, you have to play this game. This is essential. But he's like, I don't want to, like, the gameplay, I don't know. But the story's so good. I know that once you start it, like, you can get over the hurdle, but this is a great way for other people who just want to watch a TV show, they're going to experience that same story.
Yeah, so maybe we just need to stop being selfish.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, let's talk to that last gamer who destroyed his room over the idea of, a game coming to the platform. Yeah, we're selfish over here.